Somebody please get this man a gun. What's up, everybody? I'm Sly The Movie Guy, and here's my movie review of John Wick Chapter 2. I already reviewed the first film already on the channel, so you can check that out. I put the link down below in the description box. And now this is the sequel that came out in 2017. Now, 2017, just like John Wick, that 2014 were a bunch of awesome movies. 2017 had a lot of incredible movies. I mean, Logan, Thor Ragnarok, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man Homecoming. It was just a complete amazing year with all those films. And there was other incredible films like Lego Batman. And John Wick Chapter 2 was one of those first films that was coming out 2017. One of a couple of films that could be a hit. It was a question mark because some action movies can be a letdown from their first film. And this one was not like that. I remember just going to movie theater, just hyped up, so excited to see how they do, because the way they left a cliffhanger and see in the first movie, I was just they got to leave something in here. So John Wick 2 absolutely was amazing. I will get in depth. Is it better than number one? I'll go in that later, but let me just talk about how incredible John Wick 2 is. Chapter 2. It is absolutely a blast. I mean, the first beginning of the movie, we get this little a motorcycle and a car chase scene that's absolutely just starts off the movie. And that's why I think John Wick, the first two, have done exceptionally well. They always start off the movie to get you engaged in the audience, where the first movie always got you engaged of what John Wick is about. Now, since you already got the broad scope of John Wick, you actually finally get to see some of the action scenes in the beginning of the film, and that is the absolute great thing for me as a fan and all action fans for action movies. It is absolutely fantastic the way they just started off, because you want to get your audience involved, and what the best way to do it, just do action scene in the beginning. And then one of the relatives of Vigo, the villain from the first movie, one of them is in their office that John Wick is battling and stuff. He said that John Wick killed 3 guys at a bar with a pencil. So you already know that if you've seen the first one. If you haven't, well, that's a spoiler. It was just we know what John Wick is about. So seeing these new characters, just noticing John Wick and hearing what John Wick is about is absolutely fantastic, because we already know, so we get a broad scope. And the film don't rehash some of the stuff we've seen for the first film. Some of it does, but it's so well interesting with the action that it doesn't stay off focus. And that's what I like about John Wick 2. More back to the storyline, basically, where the storyline of John Wick, what I just mentioned from again with the car just saying, basically John Wick is retired from the assassin game and all that. But pretty much when the Italian monster, gangster, villain, our main antagonist, Santino and D'Antonio, excuse if I said the name wrong, the thing down bottom. It just, when he comes along, he wreaks havoc to John Wick and all this, and that's when John Wick ends up coming back. So that's part of the storyline. John Wick just goes out killing. And the one thing I will say is, finally, John Wick's dog do survive throughout the film. From the dog he got from the first film, he finally survived. So, happy about that. That story, basically, like what I said, where the Italian monster just comes in and John Wick comes into John Wick's life and stuff. What I mean is, when he comes visit John Wick's, his house or whatever, John Wick is completely, done with the assassin game. So when he comes to John Wick's house, it's very interesting, because you're trying to figure out what this guy's doing. And when he's offering John Wick to do something, an oath and all that, and John Wick refuses, because John Wick doesn't play any games, and that's the part I like about the character in this movie. John Wick absolutely is the guy you just don't want to mess with. John Wick has that face, that distinct face, that anger face that you just don't want to mess with. This man has been through a lot already. So when this guy asks him, John Wick just refuses. And this Italian monster, because was displeased with that because he was trying to offer John Wick something, and after when he left, he was mad. He ends up blowing John Wick's house up with a grenade, with a launcher grenade or whatever the thing's called, the gun or whatever. When he does that, that absolutely shocked me in the movie theater. I'm like, oh, because I thought the dog. I said I was scrolling through. I was like, please don't let the dog die. I said, John Wick dog dies, I'll be down again just like the first film. But when that dog didn't die, I was like, yes. So the scene was really good, and it really makes it more interesting. After then, when that happens, I was more intrigued how this was going to go. Then after all that, when John Wick's house blew up, that's when he goes to Winston, played by Ian McShane once again, who does a fantastic job acting in this movie. John Wick goes to him at the Continental Hotel because he's the underworld, the crime of the underworld person, or whatever. John Wick told him about the store where the Italian monsters come to his house and all that, and the offer he refuses and all that. And Winston convinces him to do something like this and all that. Tells him all this stuff in the dialogue, and like I said, the dialogue is fantastic. Once again, in this film, I can't emphasize how much the dialogue is just improved in this film. Just like the first movie, the writers are just so fantastic with it, and just hearing John Wick and Ian McShane talk is just absolutely amazing. Keanu Reeves and Ian McShane, the characters they play are fantastic here. It's just they really play off each other really well, like acting to one another. So they really did well in this film. After that dialogue talk what I mean by Ian McShane and Keanu Reeves, after that we end up going where John Wick goes to the Italian guy that blew up his house, and John Wick offers the oath thing and all that, and the Italian monster Santino wants him to kill his sister, and all that. So that makes the story very interesting, and the reason he wants this because he wants to be this kind of like the head of something, because his sister, I guess, is like a head of something like that, like some head of some type of gangster mob thing or whatever. So like the head of the table. And that makes it very interesting. I can't emphasize, it was just getting interesting. That's what I like about what the John Wick movies do. With its crime underworld movie, it explores the number two very well. It just from the first movie introduction to it, to the crime underworld, the criminal underworld stuff, it really fleshes out very well in number two. And I really like how they did it. Especially when learning what the Italian mobster trying to do and stuff, it explores absolutely well. After that, it just goes more where John Wick gets weapons and stuff and all that stuff, where he goes to Rome and all that, to Italy, just to kill the Italian gangster Santino's sister, whatever. It gets a little interesting, and John Wick elevates it. The movies are just elevating. It's like going up a mountain. They just get better and better in each scene as it goes, and that's what I like about it. And this is where I find the scenes that very interesting. When John Wick goes to this party, whatever, there's a lot of henchmen knowing that John Wick is coming and stuff. And John Wick goes to Santino's sister and all that, and is about to kill her, but she ends up taking her own life. If you see that scene, it put a shock on me, because I thought John Wick was just going to kill her, but I was like, I don't know how that scene's going to be, but I just figured, I said, is John Wick going to kill? I don't know, because John Wick ain't no joke. But she was just cutting herself. I was so shocked. I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. And then that's when later on John Wick ended up shooting her. So that was one of the parts. And that's when it kicks off to the action scenes. And I absolutely say the action scenes in John Wick 2, even with that scene, with the party scene where Common plays the character here, the hitman assassins that kill John Wick, the action scenes are just amazing. That's all I got. I'm going to just talk about the action scene in John Wick. They are absolutely amazing, especially with the party scenes. It just is non-stop. It just keeps your blood pumping. It's like it doesn't give you no air to breathe, man. It just was just so fantastic. And the choreography stunt work in this movie, I got to say, is a blast. They amped it up so much in number two, and I really freaking loved it. And the camera work is absolutely amazing. that would say number 2 really emphasized, like amped up the action scenes a little bit more. Number 1 was really good with the camera work, but number 2 just elevated it more. And the angle shots are really well choreographed, absolutely well. And more to this, the action scenes, especially with the subway and stuff, where John Wick ends up fighting Common more, and he sticks the thing in his like chest or whatever. Oh, that scene, and I can't say I order the thing in the middle of your chest, or whatever. Here's the thing: if you could pronounce it, I'm not good at pronouncing parts like that. So when John Wick stuck in it, he said, "If you pull it out, you'll be bleed to death and die." So John Wick keeps it alive in a professional way. So I love that scene. So that was great. More about the dialogue, man. I gotta say, Ian McShane, when he talked to Tom Monson, he said, "You don't know what you dealing with and stuff." Because Ian McShane knows John Wick, and I just love the dialogue here. It was just so well done. It just seemed like when two characters talk to each other, it absolutely is fantastic. They absolutely do a fantastic job with it. And that's just one of the things I like how they do with the dialogue here. It is just absolutely amazing. I said it about a million times, but I just can't get enough of it. But what makes dialogue interesting is they add the action in it. But they let people do stuff in action while the dialogue is going on. So it's very realistic. That's what I like about it. That's one of the parts I like with each dialogue scenes. But it's one part that I did have a flaw with. So I'll mention that later on in the review. One of the things I did like from John Wick is where John Wick, after that subway thing, after all the action, we see John Wick all bleeding and all that stuff. We see John Wick just wounded. In the first movie, we see John Wick wounded, but not like to this extent. But here we see John Wick wounded. So I was actually like behind John Wick the whole time to see can he survive from all this. And he absolutely does. And I just can't believe how he's going through it. So I was behind John Wick. And that was really fantastic. And then until later with the subway thing where the guy like asked him something like they tell the homesman something like whatever, the underworld thing when he told the guy to hide him or something like that with dialogue. After that, we end up seeing John Wick meet some underworld like the crime lord or whatever, Laurence Fishburne. And Laurence Fishburne, this is a reunion of the Matrix reunion with Keanu Reeves and John Laurence Fishburne, so you didn't get that. So, Laurence Fishburne, he's a fantastic actor, and he did well in this film. I didn't know quite, like, when I saw the trailers, I was like, oh, Laurence Fishburne's in here? So, that was kind of weird. So, but hey, he did good. He was like, John Wick. And saying all this stuff and all that. It's Christmas and all that stuff. John Lawrence Fishburne was absolutely amazing. I just love everything. It's like he stole every scene he was in. He just stole it, and he was helping John Wick with the injuries and stuff, and it was fantastic. That was brilliant. That scene alone was absolutely amazing. Now, nonetheless, let me get to the last, the action part in the end. Oh my, when John Wick is trying to get after the Italian villain Santino, because Santino because John Wick didn't respond to the phone call after all that drama and stuff, after when John Wick kills all the henchmen that he had. Now he's putting more henchmen, like 700 million to kill John Wick. And when the last third act of the action scene, woo! Oh, it's the treat. It's a treat to watch, man. This is where I say the actions is absolutely mind-blowing. You see blood splatting. You see all that. Woo! It was a masterpiece. This action scene was just a masterpiece. Especially with the halls in the mirror. It was fantastic. I can't get enough of that. The walls in the mirror where John Wick is walking around. It reminds me of some movies that I've seen before where the things, when action movies, where you gotta know who's right there and that. It's like a maze thing, and that's mysterious. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. And when I saw that scene, I was just on the edge of my seat like, what's gonna happen? I just knew John Wick gonna survive somehow in this. I think I was like, I'll hint out like John Wick's gonna survive in this. There's no way. And it was just like, man, it was just so fantastic. I just like, I was just in my seat about to like jump and stuff. And I love when action scenes, because action scenes get me pumped up. I'm like, I go crazy for an action scene. I love good ones. I can eat them up all day long. It was just so fantastic. It was just so choreographed well. It's just, John Wick has to be the best choreographed action scenes I've seen. It's just so, the camera works, they just did phenomenally well. And for God's sake, this Keanu Reeves, once again, a badass. That's all I got to say. It's just, you can tell Keanu Reeves is just so committed in this movie. And that's what I like about this movie. Man, that action scene was so fantastic. Now let me get on to my negatives. Since I said everything's so much good about this film, I have a couple of negatives about it. And this will reflect on, is it better than the first movie? Now, my negatives for this film is, one of them is like, I like the first movie. This is where I say, I think the first movie is a tad bit more better, because my issue with this movie is John Wick was forced into doing stuff like that. Like some parts, like, it didn't feel like a revenge story. And I think that's where I was still interested in the story, but I kind of found myself just interested more than the action. This movie felt like more like an action type story than like the story, which the story was good. It just, I got so much with the action that was so mind-blowing that the story, it kind of like took the storyline a little bit, where the first movie had a perfect balance to me when it comes to action and the story, with the revenge, and the action went with it, because you were behind John Wick a little bit more. Even though I was behind John Wick in chapter 2, I was behind him a little bit more in the first movie, which the second one, like I said, is still good. But that's one of my parts I kind of like said, okay, John Wick is doing stuff like that in the Criminal Underworld. And I say the Criminal Underworld was so well done in number 2, so that's one of the things I say was great. And that was just one of my faults with the thing. I felt like number 1 had a better like story in the action part. Then the last part, where Ian McShane talks to John Wick, because John Wick said, if somebody coming for me, I'm going to just kill every one of them. Ian McShane says something like that. And then, like, when a guy calls on the phone with Ian McShane says, he's like this. And then people stopped. And the movie was already realistic with the Criminal Underworld and the crime thriller. It just becomes unrealistic when it comes to that last bit part in the end where people stop. And I was just like, I don't buy into that. No. I don't get that. I don't see that. Nah, that can't. I just feel like that can happen like if that was like a comic book or a supernatural movie. But here it's just like, okay, y'all going kind of too far with that. So that was one of my parts that kind of just like, kind of ate me right there. I was like, okay. But like I said, that was one of my negatives in the movies. Overall, I had a blast with John Wick Chapter 2. It's a still worth sequel to watch. I don't think it's better than number 1, but hey, I think John Wick Chapter 2, you should watch it. It's a great movie. One of the best action movies. I'll probably put in my 20s. Not top 10, but maybe like I say 20. But like I said, just check out John Wick Chapter 2 and the first movie. I think both of the films are great. This one is absolute blast from start to finish. And as of right now, I'm going to give John Wick Chapter 2 an A-. Let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think about John Wick Chapter 2? Did you like it or not? Let me know. And let me know which John Wick film do you prefer, the first one or the second one. For me, like I said, the first one, but I know everybody has an opinion, so I'd love to know your opinion down of that in the comment section down below too. And look forward to my John Wick Chapter 3 review. Can't wait for that movie. Man, the trailers look so amazing. I really can't wait to watch this movie and do my review on that. Man, I can't wait to see this movie. I'm just so excited. And that's pretty much it. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, click thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, click subscribe and the bell button. That's so I can see you next time on Sly the Movie Guy. Peace.